Hi guys, my name's Chris, and this is Anime Debate. Now, when I first heard of these two shows, I told myself, don't compare them. Don't do it. It's too dangerous. The internet might break. But then I decided, nah man, don't be afraid. You, meaning myself, are an innovator. You came here to change the game. You came here to compare two anime head to head to figure out which one is ultimately the best. So you can't be scared. These animals, these anime, these beasts speak to me in a way that no others have before. If you want to see a knock-down, slap-down fight between two anime with relatively no action, you've come to the right place. This is BNA versus Beastars. Two anime featuring humanoid-ish animals. Now, you might be asking yourself, Chris, what are you doing? It's too crazy. What are you doing? It's too nutty. Well, the thing is, I have Netflix. And when Netflix brings me anime that are similar to one another in any facet, I don't care if it's aesthetics, looks, theme, whatever, I'm going to compare them. That's just what I do for the people. So let's jump right into it. This is going to be fun. So, okay, these anime, to be honest, have very little to do with one another other than having animal themes. So let's just start with the plot. So the plot of BNA, brand new animal. A girl wakes up and finds out that she's been turned into a tanuki, which is a raccoon dog in Japan. I actually did some research and found out that they're not really an animal that exists here. I thought that tanuki was just Japanese for raccoon because in Super Mario Brothers, when Mario gets that suit that looks like a raccoon, I'm like, yo, that's his tanuki suit. That's what they call it. But no, it's not at all that. It's an animal that's really cute, but very dangerous in Japan. So, just so you know, the raccoon dog, don't pet it if you ever go to Japan. It will destroy your life. It's like a rabid animal. It's actually not safe. But anyway, point being, she wakes up and realizes that she is now a tanuki. And she's like, I used to be human. Oh my God. And we don't even see that part of it. Just kind of, I'm not giving you guys too many spoilers here. But essentially, she wakes up, she's a tanuki now, and she's been outcast from human society. So she goes to try to find the animal village because that's where she'll be accepted. So she's on her way there, she's being attacked, she's being chased, whole 9 yards, and ultimately she comes across a crew of other creatures and goes on exploits to try to find a way to become human again. And that is the general plot. I don't want to spoil too much for you because I think it really does unveil itself better the more and more you watch it and you get to see more and more where this thing is going. And then over on the side of Beastars, you have a wolf who is again in school. Is a typical slice of life Japanese kind of thing. But he's in school and he develops a lusting, if you will, for a rabbit who is very sexy and giving of herself. And ultimately, the overall plot, though, just kind of like the drama and the dramatics of this high school and these characters. And really, the thing that kicks everything off is there is an animal, I believe an antelope, or maybe a deer, I forget which one. Now, it's been a while since I've seen this anime, but it's one of those more docile creatures. I think he gets killed, and everyone blames the wolves because, of course, they're carnivorous, and it becomes this racial / warpath thing about carnivores versus herbivores versus the animals that eat meat and ones that don't eat meat, and kind of just trying to love people who they are, and being with the person that you want to be with, and not necessarily based on who the society that you should be with. And then there's also lots and lots of teenage hormones going on here, and trying to deny and even accept who you really are at the end of the day. So when you hear those plots, you're like, why are you comparing these shows? And again, I'll say it because I've said it already maybe 3 times now. Animals, man. Animals. So Between the two plots, personally, I got sucked in. I was much more engrossed with Beastars because it was just more relatable. I saw myself in some of the characters. I found it to be much more enthralling, even though there wasn't a lot of action. Like, it didn't need action because sometimes drama itself can be action. But that's just my opinion. With the anime debate, though, we don't really compare the plot for points. It just gives you kind of my opinion of where like the story kind of unfolds. So next, we're gonna go with characters. So I'll be real with you guys. I did not memorize a single character's name in either one of these shows. So you're just gonna get animal names from me, okay? You're gonna get like rabbit, wolf, tanuki, other wolf. That's just how it's gonna be. So in BNA, you have a very stoic character who's very tropish of your typical anime protagonist, but he's not the protagonist. He's kind of like the side protagonist, but he's very like heroic and he does the right thing, but he's also complex at the same time because this show does kind of do a good job of showing the complexity of where things, you know, come from on a deeper level, meaning like this character doesn't, you know, hate humans because he's just evil. He hates humans because he's been alive for almost 1,000 years and has experienced so much and has seen so much bigotry and in a sense so much like classism in the way that people are treated versus the way animals are treated, which is why they had to go and be in their own island or their own space, because they were never going to get fair treatment living in the human world. And that's why he has the detest that he has. But then you also have our Tanuki girl, who is literally the protagonist of the show, and she, in my opinion, is very endearing, very likable, but then you start to question like why she even wants to be human in the first place, until you kind of get to another part of the show where it connects and tells you that. And then a big part of the show also with that is the mystery of how she even became a Tanuki, because typically in their world, humans cannot transform into beasts, but beasts can transform into humans. You know, it's really weird. So just the way that the characters kind of interplay with each other, the way they interact is extremely enjoyable. I found myself like laughing at their little moments and their little like idiosyncrasies. There's also even running jokes that go on with, I believe she's a mink or a mongoose or something like that, and she will probably jump in and go, "I am a this," you know, she jump in and let you know that, hey, no, I'm not what you're calling. I'm not a ferret. I'm a mink. I'm more sly. I'm more eloquent. You know, she lets you know that immediately. So as the show goes on, there are running jokes, there are running plot points, there are running kind of gags, and I do enjoy that with the way the characters interact. And the thing is, I feel like there is a little bit of lack of development for other characters. Like, you don't really feel for them in certain senses. You kind of go like, okay, I see where this is going. I've seen this in a lot of anime before. You're doing the typical thing, and I've seen it a million, trillion, bajillion times. So let's jump over to the characters over on Beastars. So Beastars is a little bit different. Beastars centrals on the primary wolf character, and then the rabbit character, and then some of the side characters, and it very much reminds you of high school. It very much so reminds you of maybe like a show like Degrassi, if you grew up in, where it's very dramatic and it's very like, oh my god, everything's over the top, and yet even the new characters get introduced. Like they bring in a character midway through the show. It's a secondary wolf, it's a female wolf, and you even get to see like her depth pretty quickly and with little screen time too, which is very impressive. Like, you feel for these characters almost immediately, and each one has their own nuance. Each one has their own thing that you like them for or hate them for. There's let's say a top actor character in the show. He's an antelope, and he is so, I mean, he might be a deer. I keep confusing those. I'm sorry, but there's a top actor character in the show, and he is like equal parts at first villainous, but then also very virtuous. It reminds me a little bit of Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z, but he's not Vegeta at all, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, but those base attributes of having having pride and being willing to give of yourself, but also, you know, still kind of being a little bit self-serving. It all plays into you really feeling for each character at each impasse of the show, and they're really, really well developed. Our main character is the wolf, and he can be a little bit whiny and a little bit annoying, kind of hard to watch, kind of like Tenchi from Tenchi Muyo. I feel like he does strike me as a character that should stand up more and should give in to more of his instinct, and it's hard to watch him not do that so often. So it's kind of a frustrating, like it's a frustrating thing to watch as a viewer. But as a fan of the show so far, I have to say that it does pull me in a little bit more than the characters in BNA. So if I have to compare the two, BNA is gonna get it, man. BNA has that character. All right, let's jump into music. So for me, music is a huge part of any anime, right? And it really does it really does kind of explore what the show is really all about. There are shows like, let's say a JoJo, where music is even bigger than you even know, because the OST even plays out and tells you themes if you listen to the lyrics, or if you know Japanese, I mean. It really does like bring you into it more engrossingly. And as I watched BNA, I really did feel like I was a part of that world. When I watched Beastars, you know, they hit the notes to the right places, but it never really was overpowering. It never really did drive the story. It was just kind of there. It's kind of like background lurking. But with BNA, when there was a moment when there was big action and big movements and big things going down, you knew. You absolutely knew, because they didn't let you forget, because the music was just perfect. And for that reason, BNA wins the music part of the anime debate. Now let's move into animation. Now this one is a personal aside for me, because I absolutely abhor, meaning I hate it. The CGI anime style that seems to be creeping up on us every now and again. They did it on a few other shows that escape my name, not my mind right now, not my name. They escape my mind right now. But you've seen a few of them on Netflix. You know what I'm talking about. But it's that anime style where it could be rotoscope, where they put like real live like characters and then like draw on top of them, but it's not. But it's very stilted in the movement. Like the characters move a little bit like robots, and it's hard to watch, but over time you get used to it and the movements kind of speed up for you. I think it's a mental trick your brain plays, but to be honest, I still hate it. Like it looks good, but the fact that the characters move so jerky, it's just like, what, why are you moving like this? Like, I'm seeing fluid 3D animation. Why are you choosing this animation style? Freaking Toy Story has been out for years. Even old Toy Story. How old is Toy Story? I don't even know. But Toy Story is at least, 10, 15 years old? And it moves more fluid than the animation made in a show from probably last year. It doesn't make sense. I can't stand it. Here's the thing. It looks good. It does look good, but not good enough, you know what I mean? But on the other side, we've got BNA, which does a really cool thing with color and tone. It has fluid animation, and it has that, you know, that more like, yeah, I'm watching an anime kind of thing, but it's not using like brighter colors. It's using like pinks and very muted colors. Like it doesn't really ever pop. It always kind of keeps things very, very kind of like faded. You kind of feel it a little bit. It works really, really well for this show. And it keeps me my eye tracking. It never bleeds me out. And I never feel this moment where I'm like, ooh, shouldn't have made that choice. You know, they always make sure that in the animation and the art style that they keep it moving, and they keep it consistent. Like every character that you see on the show, they always have a consistent look. Even when they become humans from their animal styles, it still fits. To be honest, I always prefer almost every character's animal version to the human version, because the human version is a lot more boring, to be honest. But I have to say, like, I love what they do with it. I just love how they play around with it. I love the creativity. I love the music style. I love the pinks. I love how they just everything work in a way that you didn't expect. Like when I started watching the show, I didn't know it was gonna look like that, and it just works. And just from my own personal bias, the way that things move more fluidly is not so jerky. I gotta say, BNA wins that part, baby. Now let's jump into action, which will be pretty short because neither one of these shows really have a lot of actual action. BNA has moments that lead up to action. They have a few scuffles, a few brawls here and there, a few cool moments, but nothing that ever overtakes the show. Is clearly not a shonen, right? It's just not, but it's still enjoyable. Over on the other side, now there are battles on Beastars, and again, I can't spoil anything for you that happen. They are very tense, and they do hold your attention, and you don't really know what's gonna happen. You just don't know what's gonna happen when it does go down. But for the majority of the show, there is very little to no action. And just like, you know, anything else, I'll say that, like, if the show didn't need action, I mentioned it before, it doesn't really need it because it does a good job with everything else. So overall, if you're gonna compare, you know, the fights, you know, BNA wins by default, but again, it's not the driving momentum for the show. Now let's jump over into my favorite part of the anime debate. Ultimately, the overall factor, because I think that with any show, you're gonna have a lot of criteria that really drive you, right? But really, why are you watching it if not for an amalgam of everything coming together? So the question is, which one of these shows handles animals the best? Before I jump into everything, I want you guys to know that I really appreciate you for watching. Please go and support this channel. Go to nerdgeekculture.com and buy a t-shirt. I do lots of cool stuff over there, and that's really it. There's not a big sponsor. I just make t-shirts that are cool and nerdy and geeky. If you ever see anything that you want me to make, let me know. I do custom shirts too, and yeah, that's really it. So this anime debate was hard for me because I enjoy these shows on different levels. And as I went through, I feel like one was more technically profound, but the other was more to the soul, to the heart, and kept me entertained. Like, I felt like with one of these shows, I would get bored very often. I would find myself like falling asleep while watching it, while the other one kept me enthralled in a way I didn't expect, because both shows had a mystery. Both shows had a thing lurking in the background that had to be unveiled. And that's what kept me linked in. That's what kept me geared up. That's what kept me, you know, really, you know, wanting to know what was going to happen next. So in terms of execution, and without spoiling anything, I don't want to give you guys any real major plot points. One of these shows did a better job of holding my attention. One of these shows did a better job of keeping me entertained. And I'll even say titillated. Ultimately, for me, Beastars was the better anime between these two. BNA is a worthwhile ride. It's pretty short, it's not a lot of episodes. It gets you there, it gets you out, and then it's done, you know? But I think Beastars has lasting power, staying power. There will be a season 2 of this coming out as well. And I think it's well worth your time to invest in it now and watch through it and get into the drama. Also, just gonna give you a warning here, there are animal boobs in this, if that bothers you, and mature themes. But I think that if you can handle a little bit of drama in your life, it's well worth it. It's not the show that you go into like, yeah, I'm getting hyped. It's a show where you watch and go, wow, I'm relating to these characters. Wow, I'm seeing myself here. Or wow, that is crazy. I can't believe that happened, you know? But you have to realize there's a depth in the human condition, and in this case, the animal condition. And that's why I recommend between these two shows, Beastars. Both are on Netflix, both are enjoyable, and both are worth your time. Now, I did watch both in both sub and dub, and I have to say that in Beastars situation, I enjoyed the dub more, but in BNA, I enjoyed the sub more, so that may be a thing that you can make a choice on. But ultimately, let me know, guys, what you want to see me compare next on the next episode of Anime Debate. Please let me know if you agree with me. Am I right? Am I wrong? Did you watch both these shows? What do you guys recommend I review next? What should I compare? And again, please support our sponsor, which is my clothing store, nerdgeekculture.com, where you can get all your nerdy needs met, which probably isn't really true, but we're growing the store more and more every day. And I would love you guys to came through and supported it. Thank you, and I'll see you guys on the next Anime Debate.